Everybody. My name is Charleigh Smith, and I am here to tell you about how I got into an art-related career and where I am today. So first I want to tell you about how I started. I, in high school, thought that I was going to go into something math or science related. That's just where I was comfortable. But then the more I thought about it, I wanted to do something that really pushed me, challenged me, and made me be more creative. But I was really worried that to do something creative, you had to be amazing at drawing and doing pottery and very hands-on things that while I had done them in high school, I didn't have as much experience in as some of my friends. But I found that that wasn't the case. I ended up taking a Bachelor of Science degree in graphic design course at LaRoche College, just outside of Pittsburgh, which is now LaRoche University. And it ended up being a really great program for me. And if you are worried that you might not be creative enough for graphic design, I'd say to look there, because it let me get the basics in drawing and explore that. And it also helped me go through art history and film history, but it also showed me the technology in design, all the different softwares that you can use to bring what you visualize in your head to life, and the research that is behind design, because it helps to know what's popular or what's been done in the past. And that's all served me very well today. So today and now I am a marketing graphic designer for Walkley Drinkworks. So when you hear of marketing and graphic design mixed, you're probably thinking just catalogs and brochures, which are some of my everyday jobs, and I do love them. I take photos of our different products and I figure out how to display them to make them exciting for our customers. So at Walkley Drinkworks, we manufacture different cups and drinkware in the USA and also get custom drinkware from out of the country. And I figure out how to take photos of them and display them so that our customers find them exciting and intriguing. But I want to share with you a side of my job that isn't necessarily seen every day, and that's trend forecasting. So this is where a lot of the research comes in. The year or season before, I'm always looking ahead to try to figure out what's going to be popular next year or next season. So in 2018, I had done research to figure out what is going to be popular in the fall and winter of 2019. So what does that mean? How do you research design? So I looked to different areas of design to see what they were doing. And I saw that in housewares, there was a lot of oranges and really warm tones. There was a lot of reds and browns in fabrics for whether it be rugs and houseware materials or even clothing. And that a lot of the photography that was getting shared on Facebook and Pinterest that got really good hits had those dark, rich colors. So that led me to see, okay, there's going to be a lot of oranges and reds and autumn-based colors in fall. So then, looking ahead even more, I saw that a lot of the inside of people's houses, they're painting their houses gray and cool tones and blues. And that means that there's going to be a lot of blues and silvers and, from cobalt to gunmetal. And that was going to show up in 2019 and in winter. Or if it's already been around, like some of them have, especially with like gunmetal color, then it's going to still be here. It's still popular. And it has been. This research has proven to really work and to help. So why do I do this? I take this research and then I work with another artist or a team of artists, and I figure out what I need to do or what we need to do to take that and put it into our product line. From the different patterns that we might see, from stripes to swirls to marble or to gradients. How do these relate and how can we make these relevant in our products? So we create an entire graphic line that showcases these and shows exactly how our products can work and how they are up to date and how you can keep your artwork on the products up to date. So while this is just a peek into what I do every day, I wanted to give you a good glimpse because it's not just the same thing. It's not just catalogs and brochures every day. There's also the research to see what's going to be popular. There's the photography of different products. And the biggest thing is how do you make each piece different? How do you keep it creative, and how do you tap into that creativity to entice other people to look at each piece? And that's what I find exciting, because even though we have a set brand or a set style, it's how do you make each piece look different when they're side by side, and how do you make them stand out? I really hope that you're considering an art-related field if you want to be creative, because it's something that will challenge you, but challenging yourself is a really good thing, and you won't regret it.
Hi, my name is Katie Walkley, and I am going to share for a few minutes today about my art-related career. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist in the state of Virginia. I have my master's degree in psychology, but that included 2 concentrations, one in marriage and family therapy and also another in art therapy. So I use art in my work as a mental health therapist working with children and adults. Right now I'm working for a nonprofit organization, a community health clinic that provides medical, dental, and behavioral health services in the community. I am working primarily in a school-based role at this time. I'm not a school counselor, so I'm not doing graduation requirements or vocational things. I'm working with students who have mental health issues like depression, anxiety, history of trauma or abuse, problems with ADHD or impulse control, anger control issues, things of that nature. I also spend some time at our clinic and I work with adults while I'm there. I also have experience working with families as well as group settings in other roles that I've been in my career. So how does art therapy come into play? I have a lot of training and education in how to use art in a therapeutic way. There are a lot of ways to use art in order to help people who are in therapy. So let me talk about a couple different ways that can happen. So just doing art by itself is a therapeutic experience. Any of us who love doing art, love drawing, love painting, coloring, those kinds of things, we all know that when we experience art making, it's a very calming, relaxing experience that helps us focus. It can bring your heart rate down, it improves people's blood pressure, it helps with mental stimulation, and it helps your brain makes all kinds of connections. So in many ways, it's just very good for people's minds and for their bodies to sit down and spend some time making art. What I do, however, is that I use art as another form of communication within therapy sessions. So I might be working with a young child on things like anger control or something like grief and loss. And so instead of talking about all of those issues, which can be really difficult, we sometimes draw about them, or we might create a collage, or we might use clay to make some figures to show what the person with the child is experiencing instead of just talking about it. And that way we get to look at it, we get to examine it, and maybe come up with some creative and new ways to cope with the problems and the stresses that we would not have otherwise done if it was just 100% talk therapy. So why did I get into this job? When I was starting college, I didn't really set out to be a therapist who works with arts and with people. I went into college thinking I would get a bachelor's degree in fine arts. I explored a couple different majors in college, and what I ended up graduating with was a Bachelor of Fine Arts in specifically graphic design. However, during my college years, I had a summertime job at a summer camp for children and for teenagers and adults who had various physical disabilities, sometimes mental disorders, or chronic medical conditions. And my job as in that summer camp was to be the art instructor. So I really got a lot of experience adapting art projects so that people with many different abilities could participate in them. And I also got to work with a person who was an art therapist, and I was very interested in that. I saw the way that art could help people improve their self-esteem, feel capable, feel calm, and our art sessions were kind of optional, but it was very popular for all of the campers to want to go to the art activity, because art is something that anyone can do no matter what your level of ability is. So art therapy was very interesting to me, and that's why I chose to go on and get my master's degree in psychology, and specifically marriage and family therapy and art therapy. My recommendations for anyone who's interested into going into the field of art therapy would be to do a lot of research about what the requirements are for credentials in the area you want to work in. I did my master's degree in California, but I've ended up working in Virginia, and so the school I went to was really set up for helping you get a career and a job going in that state. All the states have different licensing requirements and different credentialing requirements. So when you're deciding to go down this path, you really do need higher education. You need a bachelor's and I would even say a master's degree in order to get jobs in therapy and as a person who uses art therapy regularly. So really do a lot of homework, do a lot of research, and think about where you want to end up, so that you can make sure you get your education in place and the requirements that it's going to take to get the credential or the certification in the place you want to work. Some states even require residency experience, supervised experience. I would also recommend that you look into becoming a licensed professional counselor, a licensed clinical social worker, or a licensed marriage and family therapist. You can obtain an art therapy degree, but if you have something like LPC, LCSW, or LMFT, it really expands your opportunities, to your job opportunities and what you can do with it if you are a licensed therapist or counselor that way. So since I work with children and clients to help them with their problems, I can't show a lot of their artwork or examples of what I do because of confidentiality. So I do have some examples I can show you, but these were all done by me. About a year ago, I led a class for seniors in our area that was about art and mindfulness. So this was more about, like I was talking about earlier, art being therapeutic, good for our wellness, good for our mental health, and less about digging into somebody's personal issues or addressing a specific clinical concern like depression or anxiety or trauma. So I'm going to share a couple examples. I have these are two what we would call mandalas. And you may be familiar with mandala making, which is just creating art within the shape of a circle. This one here, the directive was for the participants to create, fill in a mandala, but using the same shape repetitively. And this was mine. I kind of created along with the group, and we talked about it afterwards, what the experience was like. We did some breathing exercises while we're doing this as well. And then this one was a mandala that was just done freely to do any sort of shapes, designs, lines, colors that the individual would have liked to do. So this one was more of a time challenge to see how you could fill the space but keep moving, not stopping, not planning too much, but just going with whatever your gut reaction would be to fill the space. Okay. Sometimes I like to work with collage. A lot of people feel like I can't do art. I don't know how to do that. But collage, cutting out pictures, colors, shapes, words sometimes, and putting it together in a new way can really be empowering and help you think about life and situations differently. This collage, the exercise here was to do a collage based on memories. So what we did was we looked through photos and kind of picked out things that sparked memories for the participants. So this was what I came up with. Collage. And then finally, I have a painting here, which was one that was about self-acceptance and maybe letting go of some of our perfectionism and insecurities. So the process for doing this was to look at yourself in a mirror and draw a self-portrait without lifting the pencil and without looking at what you're drawing. So keeping the focus on your image in the mirror while continuing to draw it without looking at what you got. So then after that, and you could look at it and paint it and color it in. However, there was a limitation here that the participants could not edit it or make it better or try to make it a realistic portrait of themselves. So sometimes we all have flaws, we have problems in our lives that we can't change, but can we learn to love and accept those things as they are? And doing an exercise like this where you really have to fight that urge to correct it, fight that urge to make it perfect or better, it's really can be a struggle for a lot of people, but can also be really transforming, and it can be a really positive experience of, oh look, I made something and it looks really great and I can value it without trying to make it perfect. And the things that I've been through and the life I've led are great as they are. So that's how that came out. Okay. Working in mental health and working as a therapist who employs a lot of art techniques in my work has been very rewarding. I do try to use some self-care by keeping up with my own artwork that's apart from therapy. So I still do painting, I still do drawing. I like to get out projects and do as much art as I can with my own children because it's good for me to continue to have those experiences apart from my work with individual clients who are working on their problems and issues. So you got to practice what you preach. If you're going to be a person who says art is good for you, art is good for your mental health, it's also good for you to practice it yourself. So that is also another recommendation that I would have. If you're thinking of going into this field, just remember you're not giving yourself up. You have to continue to take care of yourself and create. And sometimes that helps you get great ideas for what to do with your clients or new materials to bring in that they can experience as well. So I think that's all I have, and I've gone over the time that I tried to stick within, but there's a lot to talk about, and I would encourage anyone interested to do some more research, ask questions, find someone who's working in the field and see what they think. It's a very rewarding career, sometimes difficult, but at the end of the day, always worth it. All right, thank you.